As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
And good afternoon. It's Friday, October 23rd. We are about 10 days from the election, and we want to welcome you to the show today. And today, Gilbert is off doing some coaching, training, workshops, and I have a special guest host today, Mr. Gregory Sneed, and he is the CEO and owner and chief bottle washer of Lifesaver Financial Services. So today we're excited. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of financial literacy. That is his niche and space in the marketplace, and we're going to have fun and excitement. And welcome, Greg. Glad to have you.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you, Crystal. And yeah, we're excited about covering some good things about financial literacy. And Gilbert, hopefully you're watching on the recording. Hey, Gilbert,
We miss you, Gilbert. I know you're going to be missing us. You're probably not even going to be able to focus on teaching the class that you're teaching. Actually, it's a good opportunity for him. He's teaching virtually for SC. So I'm very proud of my co-host. He's doing some great things, expanding out our virtual businesses. So that's pretty cool. But I am also happy to have you as my co-host as well.
Thank you. Well, I try and hold it down the best I can, and step into Gilbert's shoes for a hot minute.
Okay. So, Greg, how was your week?
Week was good. I got a lot of activity going on. I'm building a business and in the financial coaching area, and I still market life insurance, annuities, long-term care to existing clients, do a little client service, and building a microsite and all kinds of things going on, and then trying to watch a little bit of the World Series.
Okay.
Exciting. I'm a New York fan, but I live here in Los Angeles, so pulling for the Dodgers against Tampa Bay, and of course we had the debate. That seems like 2 days ago. That was just yesterday, right? That seems like 2 days ago.
That was just yesterday. But this whole 2020 is like 5 years in 1 year. It's like dog years. You know how dogs, they have, 7 years in a lifetime?
That's right.
So 2020 has been like dog years.
Right. I said a couple months ago that January of 2020.
President has been like a lifetime of one man.
Yeah. January of 2020 is back in the day.
Right. Remember back there? Oh, yeah, back there at the beginning of the year.
Right. December of last year is old
yesterday.
School.
Yeah.
Well,
and we have been
once in a century type of event, and we're in this transitional period. And we'll be going into what a lot of people are calling is the new normal. And in a lot of ways, we will not be going back to the normal that we knew.
Yeah, and that's kind of scary in itself. And in some aspect, there are certain things that we do today that is like, if you feel like you're actually operating in 1970, 1980, certain things that we have gotten used to, like getting in and out of the market, going to the bank up until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, where now if you don't get there before 4 or you're going to get there before 5, you don't get to the bank. But remember, back in the day, January, we were able to do certain things. So eating outside, I see even movies. I see even drive-ins coming back because we're not at the movies and entertainment and things like that. What do you think?
Yeah. A lot of things are coming back. I mean, there's really a challenge in terms of, amusement parks and sporting events and things. how that will change. It's certainly impacting the stocks of cruise lines and entertainment venues, movie theaters. So this is a complete game changer.
It is. And I mean, even far as, like if you wanted to say, hey, I want to go back to New York, I want to visit some friends, normally what you would do is just book your ticket and jump on a plane and go without thinking about it. But now we got to think about it. Yeah, we're just not making, I want to travel. I want to go out of town. Now it requires a thought process. I mean, even Thanksgiving this year is going to be different for so many people, because you really got to think, do you want all those people coming to your home, or do you want to go to anybody's home? Whereas in the past, we've never, even I think when there was Ebola and all, Obama went through 5 different pandemics. We went through 5 different pandemics with Obama. But I don't know if they were there, but they weren't not a focus of what and who and what I do.
Yeah, I agree. So I was reading an article earlier today. The people are actually a lot more focused on personal hygiene now, which is a good thing. Folks, washing their hands. They're talking about how many times they shower. I know it was funny, the first week or so people were saying, oh man, I haven't showered in like a week. But now folks are focused on on cleanliness and washing their hands, and hopefully that will transcend past this time where it will be a little bit more concerned about germs. I know we have friends that are germaphobes. And I know they're saying, see, I told you.
Right, exactly. And then you have the friends that are germaphobes, and then you have the other friends that are waiting for the apocalypse to happen. So they're all in line and getting ready for the end of the world. So they become the survivalists, right? They're stocking up all their foods and just waiting for when the time comes where they're going to have to take shelter in the bomb shelter or something. So it's an interesting time that we're living in right
now. But now, now is the time really that people have to or need to focus on their money, which is one thing we're here to talk about today is financial literacy, financial understanding, financial practices. It's one thing to know something, but it is to put it into practice and actually do it. Everybody knows we should be eating well, but practicing it sometimes can be a challenge. Same thing when it comes to money. There's certain things you should be doing, but now I think it's become more prominent. There are a lot of folks whose income and their businesses have been impacted, and my prayers go out to so many of you out there. If you have a restaurant owner or a business and it's gotten shut down, this is scary. It's scary times, and nobody had that in their business plan. Nobody had in their plan, oh yeah, pandemic. I could shut down for months. No, that wasn't part of it.
So, I mean, you had it. I mean, even those, and those that had in their business models, what if? But what if was never a pandemic, and you would be literally, I mean, can you just think, we have been not working in whatever the norm, or people have not been in their offices for, 9-10 months now?
8 months,
I thought
8 months
maybe July.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would have never thought that we would be shut down. It just wasn't even in anything that I could comprehend that we would be shut down for now 8 months. And still, some of us are still in business, but I mean, movie theaters, you look around and you drive around, it's like the movie theater has been closed forever. It's dusty, right? There are certain businesses that have not opened up, and then the restaurants that have actually had to put everything outside. I drive around and I see people putting up their big tents because they got to figure out, just that was never part of a business model. And I teach people how to start businesses. Now I'm going to think with, okay, just in case of a pandemic, you need a whole year budget or two.
Yeah.
You actually need maybe 2 years budgets, right? Because you got to recover.
Right.
So,
and speaking of restaurants, how fortunate we are here in Southern California that restaurants can accommodate guests outside because we go through a long period without rain. I mean, I think last time we had rain was my measurable rain was in April, and here it is in October.
Yes.
So we haven't seen any major rain in months. So an establishment can set up outside, but other places in the country where it's starting to get cold or rain, they don't have that option to do that. So we've got some blessings and advantages being here, but there are a lot of places around the country that are going to be suffering, and so it's more important now to focus on your money, life, things to get together. Early on in the pandemic, folks contacted me about the will. How do I do a will? And I was sending out the templates to a few people that, here's a free template where you just have to, fill it out and then get it notarized. I market life insurance, and I've had a big increase in people asking about life insurance this year. And, the need was always there. Just now it accelerated. People are discovering the need to work on a budget. You might have had a rainy day fund, but this is beyond rain. This is a hurricane. This is a typhoon. This, and it's one of the ones
tsunami. Yeah, tsunami, man. This is that. In fact, one of the news media said this morning that we're in a tsunami and we're heading. Well, we're in a typhoon, but now we're heading into a tsunami if we can't gather. We can't get this under control, and that's kind of frightening. I want to welcome all of our audience that is tuned in on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you get the information every week that we're going live by subscribing to our YouTube channel. So go over to the Business Zone on YouTube and click that little button, and then click the notification so that you can subscribe. Help us grow our channel. And this is, and we have some great people that have been coming on. And so we want to welcome you and thank you for coming on. So yeah, we're going to jump into this in a few minutes. But before we do, Greg, I'd like to show my little calendar right there, my little days to election. So we are 10 days, 6 hours, 47 minutes, and 25 seconds away from the election day. I hope you actually can drop your ballot into a voting poll. I did that on Wednesday, Greg, and I felt so relieved that I had voted. We drove and I was very adamant it had to go to Norwalk, to the registrar's office. Walked up there, and there was a big old huge box that let me know that it was official. And there was a lady standing out there, and the first thing we asked, now they can't come burn this down, right? And so she said, no, we got undercover agents all over the parking lot. I felt so confident that my vote was going to be placed in the right hands. So guys, get out there and vote. Take your 18-year-olds, get them to vote. Everybody in America, please go out and vote. We cannot have another 4 years of the clown show in the White House. We got a 7-ring circus going on. So I need peace. I don't know about y'all, but I need some peace. How about you, Greg?
Give peace a chance.
Give peace a chance. So make sure you guys are going out to vote. So now we're going to jump on in to Greg's favorite subject on financial literacy. And we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of that and why it's so important. And Greg, why, especially, you kind of talked about this just a few minutes ago on why our going into the future is going to be so important for us to understand, about money and budgeting and so forth.
Sure. So, money is the world revolves around money, and whether the form of money, whether in the old days it was in gold or jewels or wooden coins, metal coins. Now dollars and paper, now it's, digits on a screen. But there has to be some type of system of exchange, whether it's barter or dollars in order for our world and our economy to keep going. And in a lot of ways, we took things for granted. We took certain income for granted. People who had a job and they were at a place where they were working and thought that everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, been there 20 years and get laid off and didn't have any marketable skills. And that's been occurring, over the, past few decades. But now it is accelerated, and it's accelerated, greatly, where it's right there in our face that if you hadn't been in a position of budgeting, monitoring your money, seeing your money, it's a challenge. And, in the old days, like we talked about this, you could physically see your money. You had, cash. I mean, how many of you still keep cash on you? How many still use cash in transactions? So you gotten accustomed to electronic, where you're using a debit card or charging everything, or now not even the card. It's migrated to to your phone. So this becomes your debit card, and this becomes your whole passport and everything to navigate around through life on your cell phone. So it's critical, really, in terms of first saving or I guess going back, really to have an understanding of your income. So where's the money coming in, and is it steady or does it go up and down? Those of us who are self-employed, we don't have regular income coming in. Sometimes we can have a good day, good week, a good month, and then we've got some days, weeks, and months that are softer. And if you're not careful, you've got to, you have a great month. You have to save some of that because that there'll be some days or months later that won't be as good. Those who are on salary may not budget or may not look at that so closely because they're used to that regular income, but now that has changed. So we really want to focus on money coming in the front door, money coming into there. So that's key. Next is then the money that's going out. Yeah. Do you have something? Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, Greg, when you talk about our using digital, our cards and using our phones to pay for things. I think that you could lose your budget faster because it's just happening electronically, right? If you had to physically write a check or physically go somewhere to spend money, you might give it some more thought before you actually, making sure that you need it. But I would say also during this pandemic, people have been kind of become I don't know what the word would be, but you're attached to Amazon and buying stuff that you may not need because you're bored with being attached to your computer and attached to your home. And so how do we control that? What do you think?
The key thing, the key word is discretion. Discretion is the key thing, because now you have to, every day you're making a choice. Every day you make a choice whether to spend something or not to spend. Or every day you're making a choice how much to spend on something. Am I going to spend $40 for lunch, or am I going to get 2 tacos for $1.99? That's a budget decision, or that's an expenditure decision. So I think discretion is really that key. And discretion is not only dealing with money. I mean, that's dealing with people and relationships. But if you want to do something, is Google the word discretion and read that, and read some of the things that can help you with making those daily decisions on what to do with your money and spending. That's critical.
Yeah, I would say so. What would a typical budget be? And do you think people understand why they have to budget?
Well, you and I were chatting a little bit before the show here, because it was interesting that people with the low income, in fact, the lower your income, the more depth you are at budgeting, because you've got to stretch a dollar. And we were talking about what our parents had to do. You know, my mom did a lot of that, and you did. We're talking about coupons. You know, our moms growing up had to do a lot to keep, you know, the kids fed, you know, bills paid. Um, it was a struggle, and so I think those who are on a lower income are forced to budget because they may not have the credit card, or the credit card's already maxed out. You've got no more room on the credit card, so you really can't do that discretionary spending. You've got to save your money just for those basics. So I think one of the biggest things really is having discretion. The more money you've got coming in, then you can actually lose sight of how much money is going out the door. And I was working with this financial coach who was doing, you know, he does training, and he had a client that was making $400,000 a year, him and the wife, but they didn't realize how much money they were spending eating out. So just eating out restaurant was costing him about $2,000 a month. So they didn't realize it until you visually see it on paper or see it on a screen. So I think that's one of the key issues when it comes is knowing what was happening. You know, in the old days, it was hard to overspend because there were no credit cards. I don't believe credit cards came online until 1976. So you know, before that you had layaway, so you didn't get the merchandise until you finished paying for it. Now with credit, you can, credit allows you to spend more money than you have. So I think, you know, watching your credit spend is critical, because you can also have, it was another example of someone that, again, higher income. Then they're pulling in $500,000 a year, but they're spending $600,000. And so that debt is starting to build up. And for a while you can service it, but then it will all of a sudden hit you that you blink, and that debt, that consumer debt has ballooned to a large amount. So I think that, you know, earning money is one of the key factors of financial literacy. And then consuming, you know, managing budget, you know, managing your spending, that's huge. And so finding some kind of software, some type of way of controlling that. And there's a lot of stuff out there. And that's what I help clients with. I help clients with managing their money and budgeting so that they have a way of knowing what is there. Crystal, looks like you disappeared, so I'm going to keep going. Saving. So savings is very important. Having money to save and being in the habit of saving money. And there are rules of thumbs out there. People will say, well, maybe 10% of your money should be saved every week or every month. Doing something is better than doing nothing. One saving trick we use is starting off the beginning of the year or whenever you start this week, and put $1 away. And then next week you put $2, and then $3 and $4. So you get to the end of the year and it would be $52. And I forget the exact dollar amount, but I think if you do that, you end up with close to about $1,178, somewhere around there, saved up that you would have. And if you did a multiple, if you did $10 and $20, and then the last week you did $520, you'd have close to $11,000. So I think saving is a big piece. Crystal, looks like you're still gone. All right, well, I'm gonna keep going. So, by the way, you're here with the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. Gilbert is out doing his thing today, and Crystal is trying to get back in with her computer. So hopefully we're still live. Hope people are still out there. If you're watching, just put something in the chat box. Let me know we're still broadcasting live. I still see the live out there, so I think we're good. Investments. So investments is a way of growing money and becoming good with investments. So you want to have financial literacy. I was reading an article about how too much financial literacy or too much education can get you in trouble too. So obviously there's advantages of financial literacy. There could be some disadvantages of financial literacy where you believe you can outsmart the market, that you are smarter than the market and you can make a killing in this stock, or you're going to get into a financial product that's going to outperform the market. Mutual funds generally underperform the market, and index funds tend to do well. So sometimes having too much knowledge can be a detriment. You're back. We missed you. You might be muted. I don't hear you, but you still there?
There I am. Sorry about
right, there
that.
You go.
There you go. Sometimes I'm on. I even got a router this week, but I don't know. My signal gets crazy at 3:00 on sometimes on Fridays. I got to figure out.
You dropped off first. You froze up a little bit, and then it just disappeared. And then I saw the little camera with this. I said, okay, well, we just keep going.
It was. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that technology. The only drawback from not being in a studio is that you cannot control the connection here. It's a little crazy. I guess my neighborhood gets nuts at this time of day, or maybe I need to leave AT&T and go to somebody else.
I kind of envisioned like I was on the Jimmy Kimmel show and I'm sitting there in the couch, and then all of a sudden the host just disappears, just drop under the desk, and you're like, okay, now.
But you handled it like a trooper.
Let me make up a question. Okay, well, Greg, what do you think about this?
You handled it like a pro, Greg. Thank you kindly. But
so I was chatting about really, consumer and credit card allows you to overspend. And we were talking about our parents because, back then we didn't have credit cards. We had layaway, you had charge cards. And so American Express or Diners Club or Carte Blanche, all those were charge cards, not credit cards. And when that bill came, the entire amount was due. So that also gives you some benefit of trying to control your spending. I use American Express often.
I like that. I didn't know. Okay, so that's the first time I've heard that, the difference between because everybody think it's a card and you can take it to a store and you can charge, but there's a difference between a charge card and a credit card.
Yes. Yeah, and the difference between a debit card and the credit card, because the debit card is pulling money from your account. So if the money's not there, that charge or that purchase will be declined. And I know there's been a few of us that have been in that situation where that gets declined. The car's not good, and you're looking around all embarrassed, like, okay, there must be a problem, and you pull out another card. You'll try this one. But yeah, so that allows you to overspend, and the same thing with shopping. So we don't have to go that far back where you could only shop from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. The malls opened up at 10 a.m. and they closed at 9. I recall a time, especially back in New York, where stores were closed on Sundays. So you could only go shopping Monday to Saturday. You didn't, stores weren't open on Sunday. They closed down, and it's still that way now. But you can buy 24 hours now online. So there are no restrictions to the window of buying. And so that can also allow spending to get out of hand. So that's one of the things where you want to have some, discretion. I wonder if you could set, I have to look into that. If there is some way to set a spending limit on Amazon. I know they wouldn't promote that, but is there a way where if you hit a certain cap, that it would cut off, or if you are, gotta look into that. If anybody's has an idea on that, hit us up on the chat or look that up. But is there a way that you can moderate your spending on Amazon? You have some
a way. There may be a way, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to I know that there are some banks that will help you maintain some sort of control, and they'll moderate how much, put a limit on your debit card, right?
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
might have $1,000 limit for the week, or $500 for a week. So if you have some people are shopaholics, right? So maybe if there was if you felt that was your way, and you were working with someone like yourself, and they were saying, okay, I just have a hard time, Greg. Okay, well, let's see if your bank has a way to halt until you get it under control yourself. Have them halt how much you can spend on a weekly basis.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I think now also
that might be
yeah, finding a way to see your money, because this is where I'm a benefit to my clients in helping them to visually see their money on a dashboard where you can see your income, you can see your expenses, and see how much you're spending. If you're not using QuickBooks, as I know you've been teaching people how to use QuickBooks, Quicken, which is the consumer version of QuickBooks. There's Mint. There's You Need a Budget. I'm going to be offering a program in a couple of months called WiseFi that allows you to visually see your money as a dashboard and then set some goals. I mean, there's tons of software out there. There's tons of ways that you can control it, but you don't physically see your money. And now a lot of people aren't even getting their statements by mail. I'm old school. I still like getting it by mail. But a lot of people have switched over to electronic statements. So it's very easy to lose sight of your spending. I don't know what would be your guess as to how many people reconcile their bank account. Half? I don't know.
Well, I can tell you that doesn't happen, because when I talk about that at QuickBooks, people look at me like, reconcile? How do I do that? So yeah, I can tell you that people are not doing that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
reconcile.
I have pretty much always done that, and I look at my statements. I look at my bank statement every month. I haven't reconciled September yet, but I will. And I'm able to do that on through software. So it's actually pretty easy, as long as everything, everything's in the register. It actually just takes a couple of minutes, where in the old days you had to physically go through it. But I just at times it's taken for granted. Like, doesn't everybody do that? And it's like, no, they don't.
No.
I've always been, since being a little kid, I was always good with controlling and dealing with my money. And I thought that was for years, up until actually COVID, I thought that was a talent. And I guess it is. It's a talent. But I realized that it's a gift. It's a gift that I was given. And each of us has different gifts or natural talents or natural geniuses. And just dealing with money and managing money is a gift. And that gift was given to me not to just hold on to it myself, but to share it with others. So that's my mission, with my company, Lifesaver Financial Services, to be a coach and help people to get better about their money, because I think people feel better about their money, they feel better about life. So I
agree. So when you were a child, were your parents budget-minded people? Did you live in a household? Because a lot of times when we think about financial literacy, is it something that gets passed down in the family? Is your understanding of money coming from what you've seen or what you've been taught?
It's both, actually, both. So I believe that, well, certainly, my dad and my mom did not come from a family of wealth. So growing up, they struggled. Their family struggled. So there wasn't not an abundance of money at all. And so that, that carried through. I mean, they would have been at a young age, but they would have been in their teens, almost, getting up until their young adult during the time of the Depression. And so that carried forward up until, I think, post-war, 1945, when the economy recovered after the Depression and after we'd won the war and business started humming in factories, and the industrial age had really kicked into full swing. So I got it from both parents, and I think when you have a couple, if you have a family, when it comes to that, you have people who either are givers, or at least the way I've learned it, you have people who are givers and people who are takers. You have people who are spenders and also people who are savers. And so both of my parents were savers. Now you have couples where you have both, husband and wife, or be politically correct, partner and partner, and you have both who are savers. Well, they're probably going to be pretty good when it comes to financial literacy and financial saving. Now the challenge is we have a saver and a spender, and so there now becomes some battles. And so is the saver the one who's making more of the money, or is the saver or is the spender one who's making the more? And then if you have two individuals, two partners, and they're both spenders, that's where a family or a unit can run into challenges, because they both love to spend. They one are savers. So that's an interesting dynamic to take a look at, is that, what are you? Are you a saver or are you a spender? If you get some money, is it gone, within minutes, or after some period of time, do you still have it? And then what is your partner? If you're in a partnership, relationship, are they a saver or are they a spender? So if you're in a situation where both of you are savers, then chances are you're going to be, you as a family unit are going to be pretty good. If you have a spender and saver, there's conflict, and that and one of I don't know if it's still the top, but it's in the top 3 of reasons that couples break up. A lot of it has to do with money, and I'm sure a lot of it has to do with spending and uncontrolled spending, or just not managing that. And then if you have both partners that are both spenders, then you almost need a referee or a moderator or someone to come in and assist, because that's where you can really run into trouble. That's where the consumer debt can swell, and you've got a problem. You've got a major problem. So that that was a long answer to your question, is that it really came from both of my parents not coming from money, not having an abundance of money. And we had to make do and best we can. It's interesting. I've had friends who had parents who both did well. Parents were, one was a doctor, one was a lawyer, and they could have challenges because they always had an abundance. They never appreciated. We used to call them the air sandwiches growing up.
Peanut butter and bananas.
Some Wonder Bread with some butter on it and some sugar.
Mayonnaise sandwiches. Remember mayonnaise sandwiches?
One exactly. All right, one slice of meat. That was all that was on there. And so, now kids, you don't have you have so much options in terms of fast food, and I lived in a 24-hour city, but there were a lot of things that closed. You didn't have everything open 24 hours. Now it's and you don't even have to go out now. Now you can have Uber or DoorDash, and what are the other ones?
Grubhub and all of those people that just bring the food to you.
My wife and I, we don't use any of those. We don't ever have any food getting delivered. We're either cooking or we go to get it, because it's just too too easy. Yeah.
And on top of that, you spend so much more, right? I mean, if you're, people that use Instacart, I've never understood, and I guess it's convenient for people that don't have transportation, but ordering your groceries and letting someone deliver it, but you got to pay a surcharge for that kind of a luxury. That's a luxury, actually.
Yeah. I was watching.
And I would guess if we really look. Go ahead.
I was watching an interview yesterday with the CEO of Chipotle, and what has happened is that they're now going to be enhancing their delivery. And perhaps doing some of it on their own, but they're really going to be enhancing their delivery service. And what they realized is that people were willing to pay that premium. And so that if a meal was going to cost, for two people, let's say cost $30, and now it's going to be, let's say, $45, which is was a big increase. People are glad and willing to pay that, and so they're building that into their revenue model. And a lot of other places, I forget the name of the holding company. I was watching them today. That has a number of 4 or 5 different restaurant brands, and they're looking at the same thing. They're looking at increased revenue. They thought, they didn't realize how much people were willing to pay more on top of it for that delivery service. And he said, we'll still specialize on the Chipotle service of people coming in and watching their meal being assembled and prepared, in service. But they're looking at, close to half of their revenue stream coming from delivery. So that's going to place another burden on budgeting, because that's what I almost say 50% increase in your cost. If it was 30, I'm doing my math right. Yeah, $30 and you're adding 15. Yeah, 50% increase. So that's huge. And so if you're not paying attention to it, that can mount up.
I think what you just talked about, how our parents may come from a generation where money was harder to come by, and so budgeting and making sure that you had enough money to last you until your next paycheck or for the entire month was a valuable asset. But at the same time, if those times were hard, I think today our parents, or the next generation after, say, you or I, the next generation was, I don't want my children to suffer or to have those hardships. So I want to make sure that they see that we can take care of everything without ever having a discussion of family finances. Do you find that when you're having conversations with your clients, that parents don't have financial conversations with their children of today?
That's correct. Well, they're not having the conversation with their children, but even more, I don't want to say dangerous, but a lot of times they're not having that conversation with their spouse. So they're not going through that. Or I still see a large number of my clients where one spouse is really understanding and controlling the money, and the other is just clueless. And it's both genders. So I've got clients where the woman is controlling everything, and the man is just absolutely in the dark about, I'm making the money, or the money's coming in, and wife takes care of all the bills. And I have the reverse. I have working, but so, my husband takes care of all that, and they're absolutely clueless. So they're not talking about it with each other. They really aren't looking at their financial picture, and that has increased. The days of a couple, and I'm trying to keep that politically correct with a couple, a partnership, sitting around the kitchen table, going through bills and going through the paper. That's gone from an electronic standpoint. That's gone from a social standpoint. And so it has gotten worse in cases, and which is what is driving the need for increased financial literacy, increase financial. Not only do you have to have the literacy, which is the education, but you have to put it in practice. So that's where I was in the month of June that I started looking at this and said, well, this is an area where I can be of service to people in the community, is being that coach, that moderator, that person to help you control your spending, and then also have a future. So what's your financial future going to look like? I talk to people about retirement. I says, well, what's your vision of retirement? Oh, I'm gonna retire, and I'm going to I want to be on the beach, white sandy beaches and blue water. I said, okay. And then you know what I say to them? And then what? And they look at me like, what do you mean? I said, are you going to stay on the beach the whole time? You have to eat. You have to go somewhere. Where are you going to live? And they're like, oh, yeah. And how much is that going to cost? So,
right.
So the idea of just a retirement or what that financial future is key. And then that's where they may need help. And that's where my services will come in as a coach, is to help them coach and guide them along the way. And it's not a one and done. It's like, okay, let's get together and see how you're doing, because it's the psychology of it's not only the financial literacy, but it's the psychology of the spending. And it's also, are you spending because you really enjoy it, or is that spending a way of satisfying yourself? When companies are marketing, they are marketing to 3 categories. One is fear, the second is greed, and the third is vanity. So the product has to deal with either something that's the fear, security, whatever it is like that. Greed, don't you want this? Don't you want to, why do you want a pair of stilettos that cost $2,500? Why does somebody want a pair of sneakers that are $350? Why are you willing to pay for a bag and it's got some LV or whatever like that? And I mean, I'm hearing about purse and I still call them pocketbooks that are $10,000 and $15,000, $20,000. Well, is that greed or is that vanity, or a little bit of both? A lot of that is vanity.
Exactly.
I want to look good. I want to look thin. I want to have hair. And now the latest thing was these super crazy eyelashes, right? So.
Right. But you make a good point, because so there should be different times in your life, like couples. And I know this is a hard conversation for like individuals that are just coming together. How I spend money, how you spend money. Somewhere around like date 9, 10, or maybe 4 or 5 months in, you should be having these conversations if you're going to be looking at getting together. But what would you say if I work in a corporation or work for corporate America? Should I start looking and planning for retirement 10 years out, 5 years out? When should I be really sitting down with a coach like yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to be retiring. What do I need to do? How do I make the right decisions? And when do I start putting that plan in place?
Great question. So it's when should you and when will most. So I believe, honestly, that once you start working, when you are, come out of school and you're 22, 23, 24, 25, you should start right then. And you should start the mentality, the psychology of saving, and you're saving for the future. So when you talk about saving for retirement, that retirement, think of, okay, that's old. That's when I'm in the rocking chair, what have you, and that's good. But I think the concept that people want to grasp is that you want to save for the future. You've got the past; you can't really change that. You really don't know what's coming in the future, but you can control what's going on today. So you want to save for your future. And that future might be for next month. The future might be from 10 years from now or 20 years from now. What do you want your future to look like? And when do you want to begin to prepare for that? And
Mm-hmm.
so, someone that's looking to be an Olympic champion, you can't start a year or two before that. That's something that you start, probably elementary school or certainly by middle school, that you're in that habit of doing.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the same thing when it comes to, retirement or your financial future? What is your financial future going to look like? And how much are you going to want to spend down the road? So it's not so much how much do I need to have at retirement. What kind of
Mm-hmm.
spending do I want to do? Am I am I a spender? And if I'm a spender and I enjoy spending, then that's a big battle, because you don't want to save, but at some point in time your earning will stop or your income may change, and you're still going to want to spend the way you've been spending today. If you are a saver, then you're accustomed to doing that, and that once you get into your golden years, you're not looking to be spending and do a whole lot of crazy things. You just want to enjoy life and have some fun and have some friends, and maybe play cards or bingo or bowling or binge watch a series or whatever that is, that doesn't take a lot of
Right.
money. So that's the key. The key answer really is, I think people ought to be starting early enough, but they also need to figure out, what type of financial future do I want to have, and
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, am I a saver or am I a spender? And you could be a blend of it. It's like, I save for certain things. I make sure that my my important things are taken care of. There was a time in my 20s where I was spending a lot of money and having a lot of fun, but I made sure that my bills were paid. I've never been in a position where I didn't, not pay rent or mortgage. Those critical things, got paid. There might have been some other things that slid a little bit here and there, but the critical things were taken care of. But not everybody looks at it that way. So, what are you? Are you a saver? Are you a spender? If you are a spender, then financial control is critical. It's critical, and you got to do something about it.
Right. Are there exercises, or, in your coaching, do you provide your clients with certain exercises to help them determine whether they're a saver or a spender, and then help them craft a budget that kind of grows with them and their needs?
Well, it's funny, because when you ask the question, they know. They don't have to search. Whenever I ask that question, they don't have to. Or if I ask the husband and wife, they'll point out. In fact, the saver will usually point to the spender. Him, her, okay? And that spender acknowledges, like, yep. So there's no exercise when it comes to that. The challenge is, okay, how do you feel about that? And are you looking to make a change? Because the budgeting is a mechanical piece, but what's missing is really the psychology. Why are you spending? Why are you looking to do that? Or is there something that internally you're missing that you're trying to prove? Is it addictive? Shopping can be an addiction. So if you open up your closet and you've got 350 pairs of shoes,
Yeah. You might have to have.
It might be 20 too much.
That might be an issue.
Right, exactly. If you have, you've got, it's just you, and you've got 4 and 5 different cars.
Yeah.
What's the issue there? Are you just really a car buff, or is it something psychological? So we have to get into that psychology, and that's where I have to encourage clients to really understand what are you looking to do and what's important to you. And there's some, quite honestly, that aren't going to be a good candidate. If I meet with those and they're both spenders, and they're just looking for some magic fix, it isn't there, and they're not an ideal client for me. It's like I won't be able to help them. It's imagine a drug counselor is trying to deal with somebody and they just love it. I just can't see quitting. Well, then what can you really do until it becomes a
Right.
problem. So if you've got two people that are both spenders and
I've had,
then the
and I've
really
known people that I've known some people that were addicted to the spending. They had other areas in their lives that they were not happy with, and they were. Remember back in the day when HSN and QVC, before Amazon was really the Amazon. Now I'm sure they're doing it in Amazon, but every night they would, how they do infomercials late at night, and it's for those infomercials are designed for people who are shopaholics, and they find them buying just crazy stuff in the middle of the night because they couldn't sleep or they're unhappy. And they would spend their rent. I mean, it almost becomes like a drug addiction where they'll use money that's allocated for, bills, your utilities and your rent and so forth, or your mortgage, and you're just buying junk with it because you're unhappy in other areas of your life. So I've actually seen that happen. I've seen that in real life.
I have not ever. I bought one thing off of TV. I have never done QVC or HVC or whatever. I bought one thing, and that was that album. It was called "Hey Love," and it was like, "Hey, my brother," and it had all those little slow songs, what have you. And you couldn't get it. You couldn't get it in the store. Oh man, I did buy that, and I still have that. That album.
Yeah, remember back in the day before you were addicted to Amazon, but yeah, it would come on after 12 o'clock. They were designed for the night owl that couldn't sleep.
Yeah. No, I just bought that. I bought that one album off of the telephone. I called up and had it shipped. I forget what it was. $19.99 or something like that. Which
right, it was always $19.99 or $9.99. I mean, they still do that. But
I swore I would never do it, and I broke down that time. I was like, "Oh, I gotta have that album." Yeah,
because it would play like 20 times while you're watching a movie, so it was programmed in your brain.
Like, hey, my brother, let me borrow that. No, you got to get one of your own. That was.
But you're absolutely right, Greg, and I think we're in a time now, because I have friends that when the recession took place in 2007, 8, whatever that was, I had friends that actually used. They had a 1 year savings, but then they used it up. But now we're in some new chart that we're finding ourselves in. And so how do we have to really take control of our spending in order to make sure that we survive this pandemic. Well, we're now in the 3:57. We've had a great conversation. I truly want to thank you for being my guest co-host. And how can they reach you?
I want to share a couple things, right? And real quick, because I jotted down 6 ways that you can improve your financial literacy. Number 1 is to subscribe to financial newsletters from trusted sources. Okay. When I say trusted sources, Facebook may not be your best source of financial information.
That's not a source.
Right. You want to listen to financial podcasts. There's a lot of financial information out there, a lot of podcasts out there that's giving you great information. When I say Facebook, I'm talking about your friends and telling you this, but there's a lot of information out there. Books, financial books. I mean, I know that's still a little old-fashioned, but there are a lot of books out there that give you that. Number 4, and this is from, I took this off an article, but number 4 was considering hiring a financial coach. Okay. Start keeping a budget.
Anybody
Yeah, right. Keep a budget and organize your money electronically. I think that's key. And talk to different financial professionals from a tax standpoint, from a budgeting, from investment standpoint. If you look at those 6 things, and I think it can help you go a long way.
Oh, fantastic. If you send that over to me, I'll make sure when I post this video that I put that in the description of the 6 important things to do to get started. And then after that, if they have questions, make sure I'll have your contact information. So your business is it's launched already, right? They can reach out to you at any given time. And how should they do that?
Yes, yes. So lifesaverfinancial.com is the website. I'm still so the business has launched. I'm still under the hood building the microsite, doing the technical piece of it. That's not the part that I'm enjoying. But I have been in financial services. I've been doing this for 10 years. The coaching part in terms of a direct service is new. But I've been giving advice and counseling clients and customers on life insurance products, on annuities, on long-term care, just general financial advice. I've been doing that here in Los Angeles for 10 years, and last month was 41 years in financial services.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah, so you are an expert, huh?
Been in the game a long time. Started off as a CPA, back with one of the big 8 firms back in New York City, back in the old fashioned where I could only wear white shirts and a tie. But you can reach me. The best email is gregoryjsneed@gmail.com, or also greg@lifesaverfinancial.com. are the 2 ways and to reach me and get on calendar. And I'm doing a soft launch, and my plan is to be completely up and running as we turn the year into 2021.
Okay. And what was the phone number they could reach you at, Greg?
310-692-5707. That's 310-692-5707. 5707. Yep.
Say that at the 9797. What was the last 2 digits?
310-692-5707.
5707. And your email, I got that. I just used it a little while ago. Myself, Gregory J. Sneed. Yep. And I tell you guys, anybody, you can trust the person whose parents told him that he was Jack Benny. You can trust that person to help you make sure that you are saving money.
And shout out to Gilbert. We missed you, Gilbert, today. Missed you, Gilbert. I know he'll be back next week, and I always love listening to you guys giving out some great information. So I applaud you for what you're doing here at the Business Zone. Providing your guests and viewers with some great, good information to have, so that they can enjoy their life.
Yeah, because we want them to plan for the future and make sure that they have a life. Because without money, man, it's no fun. I don't like being without money. So thank you very much, Greg, for co-hosting with me. Or if that opportunity comes back up again, and Gilbert is being asked to teach somewhere, I'll be sure to reach out to you, and definitely come back to us when you're ready for your soft launch, and so we will direct individuals over to you, awesome. So that we can help your business grow, because it's definitely needed in this new world order, this new norm that we're going to be living in. So thank you so much. Want to thank everyone for tuning into the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and our guest co-host today, Mr. Gregory Sneed at Lifesaver Financial Services. We will see you next week, next Friday at 3:00, same time, same bat channel, Facebook and YouTube. And have a great weekend. Go out and vote. Keep your mask on. Be safe. And we'll check you out next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.